from Namely. Namely is a people management system that helps you build great teams. Namely is actually based here in Manhattan and Brooklyn. It's one of those companies that could probably only be founded here because it solves problems specific to professional services companies. Both Ed and I both have an original in a background in advertising and ad agencies. And the problem that we faced working in agencies and managing teams was that, similar to a law firm, similar to a consultancy, people were, the organization was really team-based. So you had people moving on and off of teams very quickly and having to single resources that needed to be applied to multiple teams simultaneously. So this is the app that we've built. Most of our customers, again, are in professional services, but now we're working more and more with companies outside of those services industries, so financial services now, media, technology. And what this solution does, particularly for SMBs, companies somewhere between 20 to 2,000 people, is it gives them a solution that solves two major problems for them. The first one is that they're overwhelmed with the solutions, the HR solutions that are currently on the market. If you've ever used any systems like PeopleSoft, particularly for a smaller business, it's very difficult to use those solutions. And the other thing that this solution does is it helps people who are underwhelmed with the UI and UX for a lot of those products. So we've created a very clean, very elegant way to kind of present data and manage people and teams. So when you log into Namely, you get a quick update of everything that's happening across the organization in terms of teams. And teams can be a project, teams can be client-facing billable team. Team can also be functional team. So when you log in, you're very quickly kind of see what's going on across the organization. So we're going to go into Teams. And Teams is really where a lot of this happens. What we've done is created a visual tool that allows you to create teams and do things that would typically be done in Excel spreadsheets. So you'll see that we've got a number of teams here. Again, we have some billable teams like the ad bill team. We've got functional teams like finance. And the tool really allows you to visualize that. So rather than a top-down org chart, the entire tool is really around built kind of this new way of kind of organizing around projects and teams. We're going to go into the ad bill team. And when we go in, we get a really quick view. There's really two things happening here. On the lower part, we're getting a visualization of everybody on that team, what they're doing, what their role is. So we see that Tanya runs this team, and she's allocated 100% on this team. If we scroll down and we wanted to add somebody to this team, we would just scroll over. So we're going to add maybe somebody to work with Jamie right there. Yeah, wherever you want. When we do that, what Namely does is actually it pulls in data dynamically through the system and allows you to access all the people across the organization. So they could be full-time employees, they could be freelancers, consultants. Namely sits on top of all of the kind of systems that are hard to use and pulls in data centrally in one place. So we can just start typing the name of a title of somebody, and everybody who fits that role, we can just add that person to the team. When we pick somebody, we can set their allocation. So you know that a lot of times you're only using a certain percentage of that person's time. So this tool really easily, again, instead of having to use spreadsheets and send that to HR and send it back over to finance, allows you to start building teams very quickly that those groups kind of sign off on. So we can just accept that. When we add a person to a team, like we just did, so when you scroll up,
actually hit cancel. So
yeah, that's fine. When we add, you can scroll up further, just to the ribbon. You'll see that we're pulling in data from multiple systems automatically. So we're showing how many people on that team, how many FTEs, how many open positions. We're rolling up all the performance data for everybody on that team. So for the first time, the manager, the line manager, can see kind of how that team is performing based on the reviews. We also calculate the cost of that team. So as we add fractions of people to the team, the system automatically calculates in real time kind of what the ongoing cost of overhead of that team is, and you can calculate it in different ways. We can jump into reports, and reports is basically something like a Google Analytics for teams. So people that are, again, managers can see how headcount is changing. If you click on performance levels, we can see quickly that the number of low performers on the team is going down and the number of high performers are increasing. And if we look, click on profit, we can look at the profitability of that team. So again, these are tools that typically it's very difficult for people who are working maybe for a media company, ad tech firm, a whole range of different industries where they're charged for kind of managing the profitability of a team and managing to a budget. First time, it gives them like really visual, easy to use tools. And this is really important for especially creative people and agencies who are kind of allergic to spreadsheets. So it allows them to do kind of very quickly, kind of get leading indicators of how their team is performing. Two more sections that we'll go through quickly. We'll go jump into the people section. And people is basically the database of all the resources inside the company. You can think of this almost like LinkedIn, but for the enterprise. And it allows you to do things like identify different skills and rate people within the organization. So if we go up to the search box and we want to find somebody with retail experience, all we have to do is start typing that in and identifies the 3 people in the organization that have retail experience. And maybe we're looking for a more junior person who's a high performer. We can click into that profile and take a look at Chandra. This is a section of the app where we collect all the data. So again, we're pulling data from multiple systems for the first time and presenting it in one place. So we've got all the basic contact information. If we go into skills and experience, we have all the tags, all of the skill tags in the system, all of her information, her resume is loaded in, job description. If we go in teams and allocations, something the system does really well now is tracks not only all the projects and all the teams that Chandra's working on right now, but any team she ever did work on. So for anybody that's pitching new business, often it wants to find people with relevant experience. The tool helps them do that. We can look at performance. So when you go into the system, again, we're pulling in data from either other performance management systems or our own system. So you can kind of either or. And what the tool does is kind of shows her rankings over time. So we can track her performance over time. And we can also look at her comp and benefits. So again, we're rolling this data all up into one place. So we can look at Chandra's salary over time, and she's a top performer, so she's getting compensated well. The system will automatically, no matter what size your organization is, show you how she's being compensated as compared to everybody else in her tier. So it's very easy for you, without the cost of implementing a PeopleSoft, even for smaller organizations, to have the same type of power to see how people are being compensated across the organization. We have groups as small as 20 people using this tool, and as large as over 2,000. There's a lot of data in here. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but just to kind of give you an idea of what's here. And then finally, we have a company section. So we have an advanced set of permissions, and basically you can group all the fields in Namely, and you can bundle them, and then you can assign permissions. So if you had an HR person that was a mid-level HR person, and you wanted her to see and do everything in the system except for see executive salaries, we can set up permissions like that. The company area is an area where we roll up all of the data from all the teams, all the trends. You can see how many teams people are on. You can see what the utilization is across the organization. For executives using the tool, identifying pockets of unutilized time and resources and showing people coming off of teams is really, really important. So again, we're talking, we work with a lot of different types of companies. In the law field, this is important, kind of seeing when there's utilization there. We track, this is also for kind of executive level people really important. Once companies get beyond 50, 60 people, tracking who's joined the company, who's left, Some of the industries that we work with have very, very high turnover. So they may have 30–40% turnover a year in some of these industries. So tracking not only who's leaving the company, but also the performance level of those people when they left is really important. So Namely's good for identifying the quality of the people that you're losing, why they're leaving, and to help stem that. There's other reports inside Namely, so if we scroll up, there's a whole set of reports. We do a lot around open positions. We find that opening positions with a visual tool and creating them this way is much more natural than filling out paperwork and doing add to staff that way. So it's also a way to kind of aggregate all of the future hires that the managers are looking to make throughout the organization. All of this we're only 10 months old. We were founded the same month that this group was founded, actually, as it turns out. So we're only 10 months in. We have a roadmap that goes out for another year, but we've already got dozens of clients using the platform. You can localize all the currencies, so when you build teams, we have 11 currencies right now that we support. So we've decided to do everything wrong or different and basically make the tool instantly available on a global basis and roll it out in real time and have people kind of come along for the ride. So we push new features and new product live basically every 2 weeks at this go. So that's it. So done. If you guys have any questions.
What's the pricing model for using the tool?
Yep. So we've eliminated long-term contracts, and it's based on a per seat, per employee basis. We only charge for active employees. So it's for companies under 500, it's $3 per month per employee. Over 500, it's $2 per month per employee, and over 1,000, it's $1 per month. It's worked out well because right now there's no startup fees. So, if you were going to implement Workday, it might cost $40,000 to get started, take 90 days to get up and running, and cost tens of thousands of dollars a year. We tend to have our clients up and running in usually about 2 weeks. Katie's back there and does all the onboarding. So it's a very quick process. Usually it's about a week to get the client data and then about a week to get the setup in place.
Do you plan on offering your clients customized solutions? So say, for instance, a company wants to implement a ranking strategy for their employees.
Yeah, so actually you can do custom ranking already. We actually started rolling this product out back in April, so we just had the first build of this done, literally pre-alpha. So we're making adjustments to it constantly, but you can already go in if you want to do a 9-box, or if you want to rank people a different way, you can change the way that the color scheme works. Yeah.
Do you use timesheets? Are you timesheet driven?
It's in the roadmap. Yeah, we've got a lot of feedback recently that people want to do that, and I think the biggest learning that we've made. Originally, we thought we were building a point solution, and then we've realized over the last 6 months that we're actually building an end-to-end solution. So timesheets for next year is on the roadmap. We've got performance reviews, timesheets, and we've actually got a mobile version of this, like company directory, that's rolling out in a couple weeks.
As I added the math, I saw some people that were 180 to 170%. That means they have a day and a night job and they get 2 paychecks. How does it work?
So when we built the system, Ed actually said, well, we assume it would just be 100%, but if you've ever worked in maybe law or certainly in advertising, you know that especially junior people get billed out far beyond 100%. So it's one of the secrets of the industry. So we had to allow for that and take that 100% cap off. Yep.
I'm just curious, is there a minimum number of employees that you would say this is relevant for? You should have at least 100 or 500 or whatever that number is.
It really varies. We have one company we're onboarding right now is just 20 people. They're a media company here in New York, and then they do their own payroll. They cut their own payroll, and they don't have an HRIS, and they don't have performance reviews, and they don't have, frankly, a place to store all the documents. Like they have to put somebody on a PIP or something like that. So as small as 20, but I would say generally it's It's when you have two first names, and one you have to use the last initial. So usually around 50 or 60 people. Yeah.
Is there an upper limit to that? Like we had bigger in like PwCs and Deloitte's of the world.
We haven't taken it out. Our strategy has been to focus on primarily professional services and SMBs to start, because we're trying to get focused on building the end-to-end solution first before we get thrashed around by the bigger companies. We are having conversations, but I would think that that'll probably be the middle of next year when we're ready to do a real enterprise version of this. Yeah.
Outside of price, what benefits does your focus on small service-oriented businesses provide to clients versus Workday?
I think it's what we've heard is that that it's in many ways an all or nothing proposition, that you basically use the whole suite of Workday, and they encourage you to use obviously their payroll system as well. We do have clients that use us as the HRIS, and then we'll use like a Paychex for payroll. So I think for people that want to create an HR stack with kind of what they see as a best of breed solutions, I think that's probably another advantage as well.
More open-ended.
More open-ended, and frankly, I think for employees to a degree, also just easier to use. Great.
So, but are you planning to have like connectors to other systems? So if you reach out to the enterprise,
Yes.
Most of them will probably be using some other enterprise version of a project management or an HRS or
Yeah. I mean, most of our clients have other solutions in their stack right now. Usually, they have about a half dozen other solutions. We have people using Namely that have PeopleSoft already, and it's really this just is kind of a layer that sits on top of that. And again, then the minority have basically nothing. They're doing performance reviews in Word or over drinks. So this is like kind of it provides them that next step of formality without overwhelming them with kind of an over-engineered product. Great. Thanks for taking the time.